So today I have a crazy video topic for you guys. Pint-sized man, 26, poses as teen at Nebraska high schools.
I'm Julie Cornell.
I'm Rob McCartney. Zachary Scheich faces 3 felony charges, and the questions abound, like, how did this happen?
KETV News Watch 7's Bill Shammer's on the live desk with this breaking news update.
Julie, Rob, police say this afternoon they are still working to determine the scope of this case. We know this much. Zachary Scheich spent 54 days attending Lincoln Northwest and Lincoln Southeast high schools last year.
I mean, how sad does your life have to be to want to go back to high school at the age of 26? 26 is actually the age I'm currently at, and I could not imagine spending one day back in high school. Like back when I was 18, I really could not wait to graduate, because it feels like once you graduate high school at that point you're not really a kid anymore. I never personally liked authoritarian figures, so while I did have fun in school, eventually me and all the different rules didn't really mesh so well together.
Mr. Scheich is approximately 5'4", 120 pounds, and appears to have blended in with other students.
Well, I guess I see why they were calling him a pint-sized man. 5'4", 120 pounds soaking wet. Doesn't he also just remind you guys of some sick character out of a Courage the Cowardly Dog episode? His face seriously gives me the creeps.
The 26-year-old allegedly went by the name Zach Hess when he attended classes with high school students. He spent last fall's semester at Lincoln Northwest, then transferred to Lincoln Southeast in January.
So he went to one high school. I guess he wasn't having any luck picking up a girlfriend there, and so he transfers to the school down the road.
We checked Southeast website, lists his name as a graduate of the high school in 2015. That's his yearbook photo.
Yeah, whoever is in charge of the vetting process when it comes to both of these schools is gonna get fired. You tell me this guy was actually a student in one of these schools as recently as 2015, and I just really don't get how he made his way back without people noticing. Like, were his former teachers not wondering what the was going on? Why this guy who graduated almost 10 years prior was back? I don't know, maybe it's because back then he had the haircut of an early 2000s black Disney star. Like, can someone please get this man an edge up?
Police say a number of sources came forward with questions about Scheich, and a fraud investigation started on June 1st. He was arrested today at a Lincoln library. Police felt they needed to move quickly to prevent further victimization. The victims identified so far are all female. Police say he engaged with them by phone and computers, but they offered very few details about what Scheich may have done. So the question remains, how did a 26-year-old enroll in high school?
So I wonder if he was just trying to date these girls, or if he was trying to gain their trust and lure them in, and then have some really bad people preying on them.
General requirement for enrolling in a school is to provide a birth certificate, an immunization record, and for high school students, a record of transcripts. Some parents don't vaccinate, some homeschool kids don't have transcripts.
It's irrelevant.
We have kids from across the world who come in who don't have birth records.
According to an email to parents of Lincoln Northwest and Southeast High students, the district says Scheich also enrolled in summer school this year.
God, this guy just didn't want to stop. Is this what happens when you can't face the reality of being an adult? I mean, honestly, if you're gonna go back, you might as well at least play on a sports team or something like that. I remember there was a story back in the day where there was this guy who was like 25 years old, and he actually went back just to ball on a bunch of high schoolers. Like, at least that makes more sense to me than what this creep right here was trying to accomplish. And I'm sorry, but any man who twists up the tips of his curly hair into one single bang deserves to be arrested.
And we just got our hands on an affidavit which says investigators uncovered text messages between Scheich and underage girls where he would discuss things like sports, classwork for months at a time, even meeting with their families while representing himself as his 17-year-old alter ego.
Yeah, so I really am just curious about his endgame here. Like, was this more business or was this personal?
But investigators say in March 2023 he sent explicit messages to
a
a 13-year-old trying to get her to meet him for and encouraged her to send him photos of herself. Investigators say he even got the child to send him money.
What?
This case continues to unfold. We'll have more tonight on KETV News Watch 7 starting at 4.
So yeah, at this point we do know what type of time this guy was on, and this is just a whole nother level of dedication to being a creep. And apparently at this point this investigation is deepened.
Well, the investigation deepens tonight into the 26-year-old man accused of attending high school, posing as a teenager.
Lincoln police say they have received dozens of additional calls about Zachary Shike, saying it appears there may be more victims. His parents are saying about their son's arrest.
His parents are out here speaking out? That's how you know he must definitely be in the wrong.
Breaking their silence for the first time, the parents of Zachary Shike, the Lincoln man who police say posed as 17-year-old Zach Hess, addressed their congregation where his father, Jeff Shike, is a pastor. In the recording posted online, he says they, quote, learned of the news along with you, the extent of the allegations against him, and it's horrifying.
It's like, surprise, surprise, the pastor's kid is a horrible person. And now I guess the pastor is trying to save face. I mean, he does have this public image to protect. He's like, I'm sorry guys, I raised a freak.
Shike's parents said, quote, our prayers have been for anyone and everyone who might have been hurt. We just don't know the full story at this time.
A father going on a press run against his own son, no matter what they did, is so 2023 that it hurts.
His father adding that God has not abandoned a sinner like me, and that while we're sinners, Christ died for us, and so we will not abandon a sinner like Zach.
God damn. Lighting that boy up, saying he did commit the sins.
They have received dozens of phone calls with tips and information. They're also uncovering the possibility of more potential victims.
I know that ain't who I think it is.
Lincoln Public Schools say Shike, posing as Hess, missed 54 days out of more than 160 school days. Yet there were no home visit by school officials, and the chronic absences were not referred to the county attorney's office.
Yeah, there's going to be a ton of people getting both investigated and fired during this time.
We know more now today than we knew when we first discovered
They're all
this.
in the hot seat.
We'll use that learning to review all of our protocol, all of our practices to see where we can put filters and stopgaps in to make sure that something like this has not occurred or does not occur again in the future.
Shike is the son of Lincoln pastor Jeff Shike. This statement was read during a service yesterday.
We heard the bizarre story that he had been enrolled as a student at LPS this past school year, and of course he's a young man. Now this past week we learned along with you the extent of the current accusations against him. It is horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, at the age of 26, you're no longer a young man. Let's not try and sugarcoat what he did here. I mean, truly, just look at those soulless eyes and let me know what you guys think. This has to be one of the weirder stories that we've covered this year on my channel. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this down below in the comments. I do know there's people that still like to go back to like their high school football games and basically try and like relive the glory days, but this really just takes that whole concept to a whole nother level. Either way, I want to thank you guys for watching today, dropping a like on the video. Y'all make sure you go follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. It's JAMARI Speaks all across the board. But as you guys know, it's been your boy the Tan Superman, and some other weirdos out here need to be covered, so I'm out. Peace!